Hello, hello. My name is Linda, also known as Tortajala around the internet, and I love creative journaling and all things stationery. So it is the end of the year, and finally, I am trying to take stock of my stationery life this past year. In trying to work out like what is my proper 2025 lineup, I obviously have to think about what has worked or not worked for me in 2024. And honestly, I think I've been avoiding the situation. It's not that I haven't had time to do like a proper, like, this is my lineup. I just think I haven't wanted to face it, and I was just wanting to focus on like specific, like one book at a time, because that's just obviously easier. Me and my compartmentalizing kind of thing. I don't know about you. I always find the planner journal world sort of weird in the sense that you have to decide like what you're going to use in the next year way before the year even ends, right? Because the popular stuff and, cute things, the launches, there are like pre-orders. Obviously, if you're more flexible, you wouldn't fall into all of this, but it's not easy to order things last minute if you want any of like the popular books or items, because they do sell out or it won't arrive in time, kind of thing. And generally, people are making their buying decisions like almost like mid-year, or at least like in the autumn, like the Hobonichi launches September 1st. So even if you don't order in September, I mean, October, that's still months before the year is over. It's interesting that, like, it's almost like you are not taking into account the last quarter of the year when you're making these decisions for the next year. And of course, if you have your tried and true like systems and books, then you wouldn't be in confusion because you know exactly what you're going to use every single year and you just continue onward. But I definitely don't have it all figured out. I also like to change things up because I think it just makes it fun, because this is a hobby and sometimes you want to change sizes, you want to try something new, you just want to shake it up because, variety is the spice of life, kind of thing. But of course, it can often go a little bit overboard. um, so I'm trying to figure things out because obviously we are approaching the new year, and the worst thing is to sort of feel like behind when the new year starts. Like you're already quote unquote, behind in your planners or journals or whatever it is that you wanted to complete. And I know it's arbitrary because, as most people say, like the new year, okay, we're following the calendar, but it is just another day. But, we all want to start the new year like fresh and, ahead of the game, kind of thing. I still find myself just really up in the air right now, even though I have certain things that are tried and true, but I almost didn't realize how much more I added to my plate. I mean, I knew, but I didn't know. Like, what is that? I don't know. Um, I don't know. I haven't dipped into my new books yet because I am like a yearly kind of person. I follow the calendar year, so I don't use like my Hobonichi Weeks until January. So I'm not like other people that have already moved in. The only thing that I've actually quote unquote moved into is my Traveler's Notebook EDC, and I did have a video on that because the monthly Traveler's Notebook insert starts in December, so I started in December with that. So right now, I just need to take stock of everything and try to figure things out, and also give myself grace in the sense that, yes, I have a lot of notebooks, and I think a lot of people can relate to having a lot of notebooks, but it doesn't mean that they are all in use at the same time, or you're touching every single one every single day, if that makes sense. And I don't think that's a problem. I sort of was like thinking about this in my head, like mulling over it, and I was thinking about how, sure, there are people who have like minimalist closets, right? Like wardrobe or a capsule wardrobe, and they're really like using their clothing pieces very well, and they have a small set so they don't have like a crazy, giant closet. Again, stay with me here on this analogy. But basically, if you look at your clothes, you probably wear certain things like over and over again frequently. And then there's like a bunch of other stuff in your closet that maybe you only touch seasonally because they are meant for certain seasons or things for special events. There might even be themed things or whatever that you only use like once a year, but you still want it. Just the analogy with clothing, I was sort of thinking the same thing with my stationery, where yes, certain notebooks might be used on a daily basis, but some might be used maybe weekly, maybe monthly, maybe seasonally, or maybe it's in storage because you're going to bring it out, in a different time. Like that should be okay. Like it shouldn't even be a problem. Why do we think of it as a problem? I guess until just generally in your space, like if you feel stifled because you have too much stuff, but that's more of like an organizational, decluttering kind of thing. It's not necessarily that generally having lots of notebooks is a bad thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to justify my own giant collection of stationery items. But these were the thoughts that were sort of bouncing in my head as I was thinking about all of this. And it was like my anxiety was mounting when I realized, wait a minute, what have I committed myself to in 2025? And then I sort of like talked myself down to be like, hey, it's a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. This is not supposed to be an anxiety inducing thing. There's no reason for it to be. Like there aren't actual life-shattering like problems, quote unquote. It's all very first world stuff, so it's like chill, chill, right? So I'm gonna go through and try to figure out what I'm gonna do for 2025. I hope it will be interesting for you to listen in on my thoughts and reasonings as I sort of like reflect on what I used in 2024 and then how it will carry over or not carry over for 2025. And I sort of went back to look at my mid-year review video to figure out like what I shared and sort of go from there. For my like planning life, I still have used my daily log that I started the year with and have continued with. Even though in the beginning I thought it would be decorative and something that I would archive, that fell away because I realized that that is not the function of my daily log. I just want it to be dated and easy, accessible, that I can scribble notes and things. So if like basically, I use it as like the factual information for when I do other kinds of memory keeping and planning or journaling. Like I have the facts of what happened each day here. So when I need to refer to it, um, I have it, and then after a certain amount of time, I'm never going to refer to that information anymore, so I can toss it. So this has worked, and I'm going to continue with it. And I did post a video about me just making my own version where I stamped like all 365 days, because that's really all I need. I like having the date because it just makes it easy, because I have this right under like my computer monitor open with a pen and just scribble scrabble notes and things like that when I need it. Obviously for some days like you don't need to note anything, like for example Christmas, there are so many photos and things like that that are already documenting that day. Maybe it's not really necessary to write any notes at all, but when necessary, like I just plug everything in and that's that. So my daily log will still exist, and I'm using it in the same way and it works. On the planning front, I also have my Filofax Fuchsia for goal planning, and I just posted a video about the goal planning. So I'm still using this for goal planning. My Filofax Chester is for reference. Um, so like wish list, to be read, basically like collections kind of stuff that I want to store in here. And I think ring planners work for this because I don't know. I don't really feel that I would want to keep them forever, even though I can just file in the pages here. Um, but it just makes it easier to expand, add pages, that kind of thing. So I feel like ring planners just make sense for this kind of reference information. And then for planning itself, I spent many months trying to live in a mini 5 ring planner. I tried different ones, switched it, tried to make it my wallet, and it just didn't work out. So I'm separating everything, just using a regular wallet like everybody else in the world. And planner wise, my everyday carry is going to be this olive TN that has the traveler's monthly calendar for appointments and scheduled things. Then I have monthly task lists where I know I need to do these things, and the blank side of the page will be whatever I need to add in, like more tasks and things like that. And yeah, just another insert for notes, like random notes and things like that, lists, all that kind of stuff. So I do have a video going through this. So that's what I'm going to use for planning. Um, I have used different formats, like sizes, but really what works for me now, and I feel like I don't need to make it complex if there isn't like a quote unquote problem. So what I really need is just a monthly calendar and like task lists. Like that's it. I really don't need anything else. So like don't try to make it more complicated, just do what I need. The standard size is a new size for me. So I feel like it's just something I wanted to try out because I have it already. And I think that the mini for the monthly calendar was like just a little too small. So this gives me more room to put in more things. And that's like for, and that is like planning for me in terms of like, quote unquote, future planning, schedules, dates, things to do, all that kind of stuff. The rest of my lineup, they're just journals, like documentation. I've always said that I'm much more of a journaler and documenter than like a quote unquote planner girl. So everything else in my quote unquote lineup, if I want to call it that, or just in my collection of notebooks, are different types of journals or documentations or projects that I want. Um, so again, as I mentioned, I I sort of like vacillate between like feeling bad that there's so much stuff and everything is like in progress and incomplete, but at the same time realizing that all of this journaling stuff is my hobby and it's for fun. Yes, I want to document and maybe have like, the nice books like archives and things, but it's not functionally important like a productivity planner. So really, it doesn't really matter, right? Like it's okay that everything is in progress and you're just doing it for the fun of it. So it's fine. Like there really isn't, um, it's not really a problem. So my 3-year Madori diary, I started this 2 years ago. So it is up to date. It's still going. It's easy to keep up with it because it's just really a short blurb. And you don't even have to do it daily. You could probably do it weekly, just to catch up kind of thing so that it's easier. But this is my second year in, almost complete to the end of the year. And I just use like one ink color per year because I think it looks nice that way. And it is fun to read previous entries, like when you do multi-year journals. It's very quick to do, and yeah, I plan to continue, but I am on the fence if I will buy another volume after these 3 years are finished. And it's not because I don't like the journaling practice. Um, it's more like I'm sort of not sure what exactly I want out of it. And it's probably because I have so many journals and documentations that this is like just another one, and I don't want to repeat anything. So I'm sort of like, wait, I'm not really sure what I want this for. Like in the beginning, I was sort of just describing what happened in a day, like real quick, right? Highlights. But some of the like, our days, they're very routine. So then I would go into like emotions or maybe some world event or some random thing, and it's like a huge mix, and maybe that's okay. But like, some people have 5-year journals and they decide like, no, this is going to be gratitude, or this is going to be like 3 bullet point highlights, or like it's clear cut the type of entry and that type of information that you're logging in there. So then when you look year to year, like it makes sense in comparison. I hope that makes sense. So I'm sort of like in that conflicted, confused kind of thing where my entries are so random and not the same in terms of like, is it just what happened? Is it a highlight? Is it a feeling? Is it, some random thing that I picked out and just decided to write about that day? So even now, after 2 years, I just feel like there's such a big mix of the type of entries, and I sort of don't know if it makes sense or if it's what I want out of a multi-year journal. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just overcomplicating it. I don't know. I haven't figured it out. So, it could be like specific, like gratitude journal. But I've done the gratitude journal practice before in a Passport TN, and I stopped after 6 months because I just ran into that same issue of like when you feel like you want to log the same things and then it gets boring. Um, so I don't really like that. And I guess it's because I'm so stuck in this mindset of wanting each notebook to have like its quote unquote purpose or this is what this is for. So like the mixed up entries sort of like throws me off. But I'm committed to finishing this 3 year because it is so easy. But I am teeter tottering if I will continue afterwards. Would I buy another 3 year or a 5 year or like a 10 year because Madori makes all of those? But in terms of the journal itself, I really like the Madori version of the multi-year journal, even though it's undated, so you have to write in your own dates, but it is bound like a book and it just is so pretty. And I like the Midori paper. I just think it's really nice, like on the shelf for archiving purposes. So we'll see what happens with this next year. Um, Next, I have my A5 memory keeping journal. And this year I'm using a Midori one day, one page. I have used Hobonichi Cousin in the past. I've used Kinbor A5 in the past. I've also used like weekly inserts in the past to try to make it more compact. But I basically like using the A5 size because I can include 4 by 6 photos easily, even though I do print like half size photos most of the time to include more. But I do like the Midori this year because I think I'm just in my cream paper phase. I really do like the cream paper. But this is like a 2025 Midori one day, one page. So it includes monthlies and then it has like all undated pages. So in the monthlies, I just write in like an overview, like little bullet points of what happened. And then in the undated, I just put in the photos. Um, and whenever I want to. So it's not like daily, like the way you are sort of forced in the Hobonichi Cousin. So I like this idea, but I'm moving even farther away from this in the sense that I don't even want the dated monthlies. I just want to add entries when I want to add entries. And it's probably because this is my like longest standing like documentation and like habit. So I don't need the dates anymore to like keep me on task or to prompt me to like document. Um, this is something that goes back to my scrapbooking days that I started scrapbooking and memory keeping even before I have kids. So many years. So I don't need to be reminded to do this. Um, so for 2025, I am going to continue an A5 size memory keeping journal for my family, but in a MD paper frame notebook. It's basically like blank pages, but it does have like the minimalist frame design. So I can put a date on the top. I think it's like adding entries to a field book. So I just like the look than a completely like blank page. But I'm really going to do the same thing in terms of when I have something to add, I'm going to print out the photo, add the entry, do my journaling, ephemera, whatever, and just keep doing what I've been doing. But I do realize that I need to be more minimal, and I'm going to make a conscious effort to perhaps like take pictures or scan certain ephemera and documentation rather than including it in the journal because all of that stuff is what makes this so chunky. And I realize sometimes all of that extra stuff, like I want to keep it in my files, but I don't actually need it in this book. It's sort of like the photos as well. You could have like hundreds of photos for an event, right? But of course, you're going to have to pick the highlights to put in this journal because if you wanted to see more photos nowadays, I mean, everything's on the cloud. You can just search up, the date, the event, and look at all the photos. Really, this book is the highlights. So I want to move more towards that so that it isn't so chunky. I don't want to stop documenting analog wise because I love seeing it, you know, and being able to flip through it and share it with family. my kids love flipping through these books, but when I see them flip through it, I realize like, oh my God, it's so huge, you know? Um, so I just need to focus more on minimizing and doing the highlights. Like, of course, keep doing it, but it is high level and highlights, and realizing that if we want to see more photos, like I don't need to print out all the photos. If we want to see more, or we want the other ephemera documentation, whatever, like report cards and stuff like that, I used to like print everything out and like put it all in. And lots of ephemera for my kids as well, which sometimes you can't even fit it in properly because it's like really oddly sized. So I just need to take a photo or scan it so that we can keep it in our files. I'm still documenting it, but just keeping this actual analog book as like a very high level highlights kind of version, and have it be a little bit more manageable rather than such a heavy, huge book that is clunky for my kids to flip through. Um, so yeah, you can check out my videos. I've done like flip throughs of my many years ago, like my old Kimbore 5, my Hobonichi cousin. Um, and yeah, I just don't want the dated anymore because I feel like you are forced to use those pages even if you don't want to document daily. And, there's going to be events where you need more pages, and then there's going to be, spans of time where you don't document anything because everything is so routine. Like, even though I do document routine things, I would only document it once, not like, every week that thing that happens. Does that make sense? Um, and also, if it seems crazy to you that how would I be able to use so many less pages, it's because this summer we're definitely going to visit the US. And when we're traveling, I don't document in this. I might put like one photo and be like, hey, we're going to visit family, just to like keep the continuity. But all of my travels are in traveler's notebooks because, of course, there are so many more photos when you go on a trip or something. So that's going to be separate. So I have high hopes, and again, this is the thing that I've been doing the longest. So I'm not really worried about keeping up with it and stuff. It is the thing that I'm always kept up with and don't have any problems doing. And so that will continue. A5 memory keeping journal. Next, I have what I would call my personal A6 journals, where it's for my eyes only, literally just writing, no deco really. And it's supposed to be easy to keep up with because it's A6 size. Even if it's a page a day, it's such a small space. It's really not much, right, to fill up that like Dear Diary kind of entry. But this year, for some reason, I decided to do prompted journaling. Well, I decided to do that because I didn't want my personal like Dear Diary to be just so much ranting and like negativity. And I thought prompts would be better to make me write about like different topics. You know what I mean? Like specific self-reflection or self-discovery kind of things. Um, and if you're prompted, you're going to write about things that you might not think about yourself. So I thought that would be more useful. And so I've already bought the 2025 version as well, even though I fell off of this, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's prompted and that's just harder for me to get into than doing like free writing kind of personal journaling. So yeah, I don't know. I still have it, but I I don't know if I can even catch up because now I have like two of these that I need to fill up for prompted journaling. And obviously you can do more than one a day because yet again, it is a small page size. Like if you're a journaler, this is not much to fill up, and you don't even have to fill up the whole page if you're just answering questions, right? But yeah, I have it there, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep up or how long this is gonna last me. But I really like these red Kimbor A6 notebooks. They are dated, but they're inexpensive. They work with fountain pens, and this red cover series has like the Chinese zodiac designs for every year. So I just feel like I'm going to get them every year because I want the whole Chinese zodiac. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, this is there. Then I have Hobonichi Weeks. And originally, I bought the 2023 version for language learning, but it never worked out. And I turned it into a life archive. very much influenced by like Lindsay Scribbles and all the people that sort of use like the Hobonichi Weeks for like archiving. Um, because I realized that the weekly is very doable for like highlights, of your life. Um, and I have my memory keeping A5 journal, but that is for my family and it's mostly my kids. And obviously, it's like a wider audience kind of thing. I don't talk about my stationery in that, even though I realize maybe sometimes I should do like an entry about me, like about mom. But it is mostly my kids. So the Hobonichi Weeks is me, like personal. So I want to be able to archive all the things for me. So not just family things, but like work things, creative things, stationary things, my personal thoughts, like emotions, like just all of it in one place. And I don't want to like split it up like how people have a specific, media journal, because that would be like too much for me to keep up with. Whereas, whereas if I have it all in one place, just all together, then like a weekly sort of highlight or summary, that is doable. So I have 2023, 2024, and I did buy this one for 2025. And I've made a video about it. So if you're interested, you can go watch that. So that is my Hobonichi Weeks. Now for totally brand new things. What was I thinking, right? And again, I think it's because I was very focused like on one thing at a time and not realizing until now, like when you put it all together, like how much this is. But I got the Madori Hibino for 2025. I did a very detailed video about this, so you can go check it out on my channel. But yeah, this is a 2-page per day notebook in the A6 size. And this is definitely going to be a challenge for me because, it's 2 pages and I haven't even kept up with my, quote unquote prompted A6 journal. But I think maybe because the problem is that I made it into a prompted journal and that's why I didn't go to it because I didn't want to answer prompts. And instead, I've been eyeing the Midori Hibino for many years, so I just went for it in 2025. And I don't plan on making it chunkier than it already is because it's so hefty already. But I suppose I could call this sort of like a commonplace journal or like a random journal because I'm just going to write in it and I'm going to write whatever I want. So maybe even drawing or doodling. But the idea is to keep it fun and not to have like a specific like this has to be a prompted journal or this has to be Dear Diary Emotions or this has to be like XYZ themed, book. No, like let me try designating this to not be too specific, which I just realized the irony of saying I'm still designating it as the not specific journal. But yeah, it's not themed. It doesn't have to be anything. It's just going to be whatever. And I'm just trying to keep myself open and flexible to whatever this turns out to be and just have fun with it because I really like the size. I really like the chunky notebook feel. And I'm excited to like use this new type of notebook that I've never had before. So yeah, just gonna like let it be and have fun with it. So that is my Hibino. And I have then another new entry. I know. If you're getting on my case, I completely understand. But this is the A5 R's Creative Journal. And honestly, I wasn't going to get it because it sold out. And I was like, oh, well, lost my chance kind of thing. But then there were like a couple copies left in the shop that I usually order with. She posted it. And so when I went, like I clicked through and I was like, oh, it's still available. So I caved and got it because, again, this is another one of those journals that I've been eyeing for like years and years because it is just so creative, so beautiful. It is a weekly journal and it only has the 2025 years, so there aren't any like pre months or after months. So I just couldn't pass it up because it's so beautiful. And there are many videos on this. I didn't make one because I'm really just getting into it now, but it is dated for 2025. It has monthlies and weeklies, but it's already like sort of illustrated. It has like cute illustrations already in it. And I am just going to use this as a creative journal. If you follow Coco Plans on Instagram, you'll see what she uses it for. And I think I'm going to do that kind of thing because I have an insane amount of supplies. So it should not be difficult for me to use like a pet tape or a sticker and write a small blurb. Um, and I'm just going to model it sort of after that idea. And so that will help me use my things, and it's pretty and fun. And again, same idea as like the Madori Hibino, um, except for the fact that, like I said, the Madori Hibino is not supposed to be chunked up, so I'm not using all the supplies. I'm rather using like the inks, and writing or doodling. Whereas in the Ars Creative Journal, I can chunk it up. It's just a weekly planner. And so I'm going to use all the stickers and all the pet tapes in this one. But both of these are going to be like free, creative, quote unquote commonplace, or, you know, general journals, if that makes sense. So that's the R's Creative Journal. And this is not really new, but I have two Hobonichi Techos in the A6 size. So the 2023 one is old that I never used because it came with a cover that I bought like before when they came together as a package. And then I did order the 2025 new one. I had ideas on what I was going to use it for because this was back in September, but things have changed, so I'm already not using it for that. So that's why I have two of these, A6 sized. They have nice paper, so I'm just going to use them as notebooks for fountain pen ink play and like quote unquote artwork if I can do more, but really just like fountain pen ink stuff. Definitely influenced by people as I've gotten more into fountain pen inks, and also because in the month of December I was like swatching the Diamine ink calendar. So I'm just gonna use both of these for like ink explorations. Um, and obviously, they're dated. I mean, one's outdated. I don't think I have to follow the dates, or I could if I wanted to, since 2025 is starting now. But I don't have to. And yeah, I just want to, again, make it like a free place to do whatever ink stuff that I want, because um, it is like Tomoe River paper that works well with inks, so it's all good. So that's what those are for. Then I have all my traveler's notebooks. And I've talked about this before. If you watched some of my older videos as I was getting back and resetting up all my traveler's notebook and setting them up. But just quickly, I have my traveler's train passport, which is specifically for documenting like highlights or favorites from different Italian cities that I have been to. And then my black Madori passport is for stationary drama entries, and I do have a video with the first entries that I put in here. The Traveler's Diner standard in Camel is documenting restaurants and eating out places. Just recently, I posted my video on Taiwan beer, Camel standard size. That is my drink journal, and just documenting all the celebratory kind of things, drinks, beer. And there's a second insert in here that is just my joy or like happy journal. Um, and so that is what is in here. Then I have a Camel standard size, another one that is holding my Happy Mail insert, and you can see it's really chunky. This is 2024, so I'm just going to make a new insert for 2025 and continue with my documentation of Happy Mail, um, packaging kind of stuff that I stick in an insert. Then I have another Camel that is for my creative designs, documentations, and reflections. I think I have a whole playlist um, for this when I started it out, because I won this camel from Dabbling in Journals. So you can go check that out. But this is going to continue. And I do have like the tiny little 10th anniversary mini TN, by the way. I actually finally did start into this using my materials. As I said, I don't want to hoard it, I want to use it because my daughter loves the fact that it's so tiny, and she has one. So we basically just journal together in our mini TNs whenever she wants to. So that's what that is for. And I do have some other TN covers and things, but I'm using them to hold like extra inserts, storage. They're not in actual use. So those are, I guess, like separate. And I do have another mini passport that this year in 2024, I have the TN weekly inserts in here, and I used it for venting. So I think I mentioned this before. Because maybe it's because this year has just been, there's just so much stuff going on, like in the world and personally and everything else as well. So I use this as venting, but I'm realizing now that I don't like it because I find it like I use this because I wanted to keep all the negative stuff somewhere else. Um, but it's almost like it's too concentrated, and so I don't want to continue this into 2025. So this will no longer continue into the next year. Um, and probably because I have this Moterm Olive Passport as well, that is just random brain dumping. So any small notebooks that I have, it's sort of like morning pages, but like it's not in the morning, it's anytime. So it's just whatever. But none of these are archived. I don't keep them forever. I might refer to them because I wrote something down or a quote or some thoughts that I want to refer to. But yeah, these are like different booklets and just random scribble scrabble stuff that I do not intend to keep forever. So I don't know if I will use this necessarily because I have my everyday carry and I have a notes thing in there. So I think I might use that more than coming to this. So we will see. I think these will not be used anymore. And um, it will just depend on how it works out with my EDC. And yeah, those are my like TN notebooks. And then, of course, I have many, many other random creative journals, I guess I would call them like art journals, creative journals. I have my 18-month Moleskin daily diary. I have my notebook therapy, Bujo-ish kind of thing, A5 here. Um, I mean, I have a lot of like A5 or A5 Slim notebooks where I do creative journaling, like collage with the printables that I design and also other people's printables. Sometimes they're experiments, sometimes they're just examples of using my designs. Sometimes, like, it's on the whim, it's whatever I feel like. Um, I don't really think I need to be concerned on like finishing the notebooks or anything. It's just whenever I want to create a page, I make one. So it's not I consider all of these like not necessarily that I would keep them forever. I just don't want to put pressure on myself. So they're just all in progress, whatever free journals. That is very much like the sort of like mixed media collage type of journaling. And mentally, I just realize it's so much better to think of these as not permanent, like they're just for use. So it frees up my mind, like it's just a perspective, right? A way of thinking to be more creative and experimental. Because they're not, quote unquote, this is going to be archived on the shelf necessarily. They might be, but I don't think of them that way. So those are all like my creative journals and we'll see what happens. This notebook therapy, it is going to go into 2025 in a sense that I think I feel good about this one that I do want to archive it, but generally like I'm just not putting pressure on myself. These are just all creative notebooks and I can do whatever I want. And finally, the final group of things that I have are a whole lot of ring binders. And I'm sure you saw if you look at my videos, I just recently unboxed VDS because they had a huge sale, and so I got it. And amazingly enough, I will do a video when I receive them. I won one of the VDS contests, and I got a whole bunch of free, like codex and ring planner and accessories. I'm so thankful. It's like a crazy, it was like my Christmas gift, basically. Like I figured out the puzzle first, and I won on Instagram, and I was like, oh my God, I don't believe this. It actually happened. So I'm gonna accept it. Like when good things happen, right? Like that was my Christmas gift. But basically, most people would use ring planners for planning. I do not. I mean, I do for my file facts, like my goal planner, my Chester, but really the reason why I love ring planners is that I use them to collate different types of papers, in a certain topic theme, you know, reference, whatever. So, for example, my A5 Filofax Chameleon, right now it has all of my ink swatches because I did all the December ink swatching in here. And I have many other ring binders. I don't think I've shared all of them. There's just so many. Um, but basically, they store different pages, different postcards, different printables, different ephemera, just all kinds of things that like I can't let go of, and I want to collate them. And in my mind, like there are many people who use ring planners that are like so decorative, so creative. That's what I want to do, but I'm like not there yet because right now it's like a big mess. I just stick them in the ring planner, but it's like there's no rhyme or reason and it's a bit all over the place. But the whole point of ring planners is that you can change the order, you can remove things, you can add things, you can eventually throw things away if you don't want them anymore, and that's okay. So it's just like a constant process of curation, and I like that. I think it's fun. Obviously, it's a hobby kind of thing, like it's not, sensitive documentation or anything like that. But yeah, that will be another big project is to just go through all my ring binders and archive my random art pages from the past because I have ripped up old journals before as I'm decluttering and just keeping what I want and not keeping anything else that I don't want. So that's what I use all of my ring planners for, and I obviously need to go in and play with them and, you know, organize and all that kind of stuff. And I hope to share that definitely. But I have a variety of sizes and formats because I just put in um, the ephemera and papers and printables and things that fit in different size binders. So that's why I have so many different like sizes and varieties because that's what makes it interesting and fun and accommodates all different sizes. Like sometimes you rip out a magazine page and it's just like so pretty. Of course you can stick it in your personal journals, right? But again, I just do it in a different way, like postcards that you don't actually send but you want to keep a copy. Just lots of those kind of like paper things that I want to file away. So hopefully one day I will share more. Right now, everything is like crazy mixed up. But yeah, those are all of my ring planners, and I have many. And maybe I might destash and get rid of some. I need to go through all of the things and work it out. But I'm very optimistic about it and I think it's for fun, so it's all good. Like there's no problems here. So I just want to like remind myself maybe and like share with you that like there is no right or wrong way to like journal, to have fun with your stationery. It's whatever works for you and makes you feel good, right? At the end of the day. So I think that sometimes we beat ourselves up a lot, but really it's not necessary. Like we're constantly on a journey of figuring out what works and we're also constantly changing, so it's okay to change. Like that is very natural. So I also try to remind myself to like just relax, to not stress about it. It is not supposed to bring anxiety. This is all for fun and to enjoy the process because isn't that the point? If you say that stationery is your hobby, then it's supposed to bring you joy and you're supposed to enjoy all of this doing and stuff, right? Besides the functional planner that you might have, but everything else, if you're a journaler or a documenter, um, it's all for fun. So it's just a little reminder on that. And for 2025, I definitely feel like I need to loosen up more. And maybe that's another theme that is coming up for me. Go with the flow, loosen up, try to be more balanced and relaxed in what I do because I'm supposed to be having fun and enjoying the process and not being, freaked out or beating myself about it. So yeah, that is my stationary life, I guess, in a nutshell. Nutshell. I hope you enjoyed listening in on my thoughts, and I really do appreciate you. And thank you so much for watching and listening. I have been really enjoying like my YouTube journaling because it is an outlet for me to talk about all these crazy stationary things. And in the process of like making videos, it helps for me to like clarify my own thoughts. So I feel like I'm getting so much out of it. And that's why I really want to continue and share more and do more because it's just become sort of like part of the whole stationary hobby for me. Yeah, so I wish you a very happy new year. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And until my next update, bye.